Amen. A message from the Lord, and that's what it always is. And the message is a very strong and clear message that is being broadcasted to many different people who have their frequency open to receive this message. And it seems like the more people I watch that have that open frequency, the more the messages that they're delivering sound like the ones I'm delivering too. And so that gives me a good idea that, there's a lot of people that are on the same page with this message that God is putting out and trying to spread around to the people. And it's a way of preparing us for what's going to happen next. And in that psalm I just read, and also in the history of this church and in the Bible, and what we've always been taught is that if we do what we're supposed to do, no matter what happens out in the world, we're not of the world, we're just in the world, and those things won't come nigh us. And that's our protection, that's our promise, that's our understanding that we have with the Lord God of Israel. If we do what we're supposed to do, he's going to do what he said he's going to do, and we know he always does what he said he's going to do, even if a lot of times we don't do what we said we were going to do. He still does what he said he was going to do. And so that's a lot of he said, she said they were going to do. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if we stick to the plan and we keep doing what we're doing and we keep moving forward, and when I say by moving forward, when I say that, what I mean is every day you really want to, not only pray in the morning and ask God to watch over us and protect us, but when you go out in the day, you want to have godly like thoughts in your mind so you can keep that right frame of mind and that right focus, because we know, according to who we are and what God has signed us up to do, we know that God's going to bring people in front of us. And we don't want to be out of focus. We don't want to be in an off-kilter moment. We want to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when God brings this person in front of you, because you want to really pay attention to what's going on and what the person has to say. And also, there's other work that we do for God. And if we keep a godly frame of mind, we'll have godly thoughts, and everything will be incorporated with that. And each day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to do a little more than we did yesterday, just a little bit more. Even if it's only one more kind word to an extra person, even if it's, forcing that kind word out to somebody that, maybe not, they may be not being as kind to you, but you've got to kind of find it within yourself to muster up that inner strength to be nice to them. And that may have an impact on what kind of day they're having or what kind of day they've had. There's a lot of there's a lot of people out there that they have a bad day and they project that bad day onto everybody that they encounter during the course of the day. And so what happens is a lot of other people respond to them like a mirror image. And now we've got a whole bunch of people that are all having a bad day and they're being mean to each other, and there's negative energy there. And it's the truth that when you go out during the course of the day, just when you wake up, and you have interaction with other people, we all have a magnetic energy that flows inside of us, and it's positive and negative. It's a bipolar kind of energy. And so the more positive energy we put out into the world and into our environment when we're conscious, the more positive energy will come back into our environment while we're conscious and when we're unconscious. And this will guide us to places of positivity. This will bring positive-minded people into our environment. It will give us positive opportunities to do positive things. And everything it's all good in the hood, as they say. But if we project that negative energy, it brings that negativity to you. Now, a whole bunch of people that are having a bad day and their day is getting worse as the day goes on, they're all attracted to you now. They're all up in your face. And now you got a whole, collection of this bad, evil, mad, negative energy that's going on. And you know what happened next. And so what we want to do, and every day is not going to be our best day. Everybody is going to have, and I don't want to call it a bad day, because to me, a bad day is your last day. That's a bad day. You know what I mean? It may be a good day the next day by the time you get to where you're going, if you did the right thing while you was here. But if you didn't do the right thing when you were here and it's your last day, that's a bad day. That's probably your worst day ever. So I want to, I want us to try to make sure we have good days. And on days that aren't as good as the other good days, we want to find the wherewithal in ourselves to sort through whatever we're dealing with, and whatever doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And so we're building our arsenal right now. We are a people that we're going to do God's work. That's what we signed up for. And this is the thing, and I'm saying this, I'm not saying this to anybody that's here. I'm saying this, though, to anybody who is part of what we're doing and part of what this is all about, and they listen to this later on. And I'm here to let you know that we have been assigned to do God's work. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. You don't. There's a simpler way. I mean, what we signed up for and what we agreed to is I don't want to say it's complicated, but there's a lot of working parts, and it's intricate, and it takes focus and some dedication, to pull this off. And there's lesser areas. I mean, God needs people in all these different areas to fill all these areas. So maybe you won't be a pastor or a leader or a teacher, but you can be a follower. And followers have a little bit of an easier task, and they, make sure that they do right by other people, and they don't, curse too much and beat their kids or their wife, and they're generally nice people. And those people get into heaven. If you ain't committing no sins or doing nobody wrong, I mean, you don't have to go to church, and you don't have to constantly be doing God's work like a missionary, to get into heaven. But there's that old adage again, and we talked about last week, you reap what you sow. And so if you want a big slice of heaven, you better do a big portion of work, while you're here on earth, because it is what it is, and you get what you get. You know what I mean? But I guess the whole goal of salvation is to get there. Whether you got there in high fashion or whether you got there, just barely, at least you made it. And to all the people out there that have one foot in and one foot out, hey, you got to look at it like the cup is half full, not half empty. At least they got one foot in. And our job is to, encourage them to put the other foot in and go all the way. We have we don't know, exactly what's going to happen next. We know something's coming because we can feel the energy, and we can look at the signs, and we can listen to the prophecies and watch them unfold. So we know something's going to happen, and there's something that we're getting prepared for, and God is preparing us for, and we're getting ready for. And we need to prepare as many people as possible, because one of the things that's taken place is there's, spirituality has been part of mankind, for a long time. And then after spirituality, they came up with religion. And religion was designed to control the masses of people and have them on the same mindset so that everybody could get along and be on the same page and thrive in the community. And that's really what it was designed for. And then after that, it turned into a control issue with the church, because the church, wanted power. And we're not talking about, this happened with all churches at some point, but we're talking about this Holy Roman Church and this Catholic Church that, they wanted power and control. And for a while there, this church had more power in Europe than the kings and the queens of each country. And so, absolute power corrupts. That's a proven fact, and it's been proven over and over and over again. If you give somebody enough rope, they're going to hang themselves. If you give them too much power, they're going to corrupt. People, get comfortable getting greedy. You know what I mean? And when you have everything you want, and even stuff you don't want, and way more than you need, you kind of get, used to that. You know what I mean? And you want to keep doing it, and you want to control people, and you want to have people bow down to you, and you want to have people, worship the ground you walk on, and sing praises to your name. And it makes you feel like God after a while. I mean, look at how we treat God. We sing praises to his name. We utter hymns and make our praises heard. And each grants leave to the other to join in hallowing their creator. I mean, and God made us in his image. So technically, on the inside, we're like that too. And so that's something that we have to really be conscious and aware of, because if we ever get into a position where people are counting on us as an authoritative figure, or people are counting on us for our guidance or our wisdom or our teaching, and then people start to, put themselves in a position of subservient to you. And we have to be careful, not to let that corruption get the best of us and take advantage of these people. And one thing that is going to make that a little more of a difficult task for us is the fact that that portal is wide open, and things have been exposed to us, and there are deities and entities that come from other dimensions. I know this sounds crazy to some people, and I know this sounds like a Star Trek or a fairy tale or the Sci-Fi Channel or whatever, but it's not. This is real stuff, and those demons and those evil deities have come from those other dimensions because those people opened that portal and allowed them full access to our world. They've always had, limited access, but now it's a more fuller access, and you can tell that the season has changed because a lot of these organizations and factions that we knew were satanic by the symbolism and the philosophies that they had, and the people they were associating with, and those people's behaviors and what they were involved in. I mean, we could tell, and it was a sneaky kind of subtle kind of thing where they were sneaking this in on people, and they were sliding it in the back door, and it was just like, here's a little hint, here's a slight symbol. First, it was subliminal messaging that only takes a millisecond. And boom, you see it for a second, and you don't even really remember recording in your conscious in the front of your mind that you actually saw something, but your subconscious saw it, and your subconscious recorded it. And when it records those subliminal messages, it affects the way your mind works. And that's how they draw people into that, is because something in the back of your mind was telling you to move that direction, and you don't know why, but you were going that way. Right now, we have to be very careful about what we're watching, what we're experiencing, what we're a part of, what we're, everything that's going on around us. We have to pay attention, because some of these things have the kind of influence that is a spiritual, soulful influence, and it may not bring physical harm to you, right away. And that's what we're used to. We're used to watching out for something that's going to bring physical harm to us. We're used to, if somebody shows up in a nightclub with a gun, and we're leaving. You know what I mean? Because what they bring gun for? Something going to happen. If you're in a park and you hear some gunshot, it's time to go. Just hang out, because that's physical harm that could come to you. When you're driving in your car, you're defensive driving. You're looking around for drunk drivers. You're noticing people that don't drive very well and almost hit somebody else. We're always on the lookout for that kind of stuff. But it's really hard to be on the lookout in a spiritual battle, because a lot of these shots, you're not going to see them fired. You're not going to see where they came from. You're not even going to see the trajectory of the projectile as it hits you. But that's where that spiritual armor comes in. We have to make sure that our spiritual armor is tight. And I talk about this all the time, but I just want to briefly mention this again. In case of loss of cabin pressure, an air mask will drop down. Please secure your mask first before you try to help anybody else. And so that's what we're doing. Our mask is secured. We know what we're doing. And what we want to do is get as many people as possible on board and help them secure their mask too. Because the more people we help, the more people that can help other people, and the more people that can help other people, pretty soon everybody's getting help. And that's our goal. We want to help everybody. And, and that's where some of this is going to be a pay it forward kind of thing, like the people that came before us. We're going to have to do it because we know it's going to help the future generations. We know that those people did that for us, and we know we're obligated to do it for them. Now, in the meantime, we're still doing things that are going to benefit us right now. We're still doing things that we can see the results on, but the main part of what we're doing is for the future generations. And I guarantee you, we're going to see a lot. We just happen to be living in a generation that is going to have a bird's eye view at something that people have been waiting to see for all eternity. We're going to get to see a good portion of this. We may not get to witness it all, standing here on the earth, but we're going to see a good portion of it. And we're going to see the power of God. We're going to feel the power of God. We're going to spread the word of God. We're going to do God's work. We're going to be his people, and he's going to be proud of us. And when we get to where we're going, he's going to say, well done. You did the right thing. All those kudos and pats on the backs and the big piece of the heavenly pie and moving forward as one of God, all that glory that comes with doing the right thing while you're here. And I want to reiterate to the people that are going to be watching this, this is training day. This isn't a vacation. This isn't a holiday. Even though there's very pleasant things on this beautiful planet and there's lots of things to enjoy, we can't get caught up in enjoying ourselves because we were sent here to put in some work. And once people realize that we're sent here to put in some work and not sit around on our butts, then the concept of heaven begins to take a little bit of a different view, a little bit of a different picture. And like I said last week, and I'm going to say it again, I truly believe that God did not take us through all the trials and tribulations and all the stuff that we saw on this planet while we were here and all the things we experienced and all the things we went through for us to go somewhere and sit down and chill forever. That don't make no sense. That makes about as much sense as God sending his son down here and telling everybody, hey, this is my son Jesus, who I am well pleased, and I want you to kill him so I can forgive you. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? Is there anybody on this phone right now who would give one of their children to mankind to kill on purpose so that that person, that child, can cover their sins? Anybody here down for that? I'm not. So I don't think God is either. I think that's something somebody made up that sounded good at the time, and it allowed them to control the people. And so there's a lot of that going on. And like I said, we're in the world, not of the world. And, we may be in a situation, where we're being controlled. And those people in the Bible were being controlled. They were being persecuted in their own country, in Jerusalem. They were suffering and they were born there. That's where they're from. And so we may experience some of that, but we don't want to be on the other end where we're making people suffer and we're bringing harm to people in any kind of way. And it's really easy when you start becoming successful and God's blessing you with the desires of your hearts and you're getting these things that you want. It's really easy to lose focus of where you're going and where you came from. And so that's something that we never want to lose focus of. We want to always remember who we are and where we come from, and most important, where we're going. We have to keep our eye on the prize. And we'll get there, and we'll take a lot of people with us. And we just have to stay focused and keep our eye on the prize. And that doesn't mean you can't go on vacation and have fun. That doesn't mean you can't drive a car that you feel really comfortable driving. That doesn't mean that you can't have a house that you love, that you feel, but it's probably going to take away from the glory and glow if you have 5 or 6 cars, then you drive a different one every day. And these are real fancy cars that you take to the car wash every day and wash. I remember there used to be a guy, everybody probably remembers this guy's name was Minnesota Fats. And he was a pool shark. And he was on the pro pool. I think he's still alive. I think Minnesota Fats is still alive. But he said he was trash talk. People when they're in competition, they like to trash talk each other. And he was trash talking this guy. And he said he had 7 Cadillacs. And every time a bird flies over one, he takes it to the car wash. So every time a little speck gets it, he takes it to the car wash. That's time consuming. If you got 7 of those cars and they're parked next to each other, the bird flew over all 7 of them. Now you got 7 trips to the car wash to make. But this is the thing. This is my point. It's not about Minnesota Fats. is what engulfed his life and took up his time and his day. So if you got 7 cars and you got a couple different houses and you got a few businesses going on and you're ready to take a vacation, plus you got people visiting from out of town and there's a party this weekend because it's your birthday and it was your wife's birthday, next month, and there's going to be another party coming up, so you got to plan ahead for that, and that's going to involve a trip to the Caribbean. And while you're in the Caribbean, you're going to check some business ventures because part of your business is import-export, and you got business you can tend to in the Caribbean, and then you got to work on these flights, and you can get a discount on these flights if you do this. Pretty soon, your whole life is wrapped up in you. When do you have time for God? God gave you all this stuff, the desires of your hearts, and you were doing good, and you was moving in the right direction, and then God let you have all this stuff, and look what happened. That's why sometimes God doesn't give you everything you ask for because he knows it's going to mess you up. And then people want to get mad because God didn't do what they asked him to do. You know what I mean? Like they're running the show, and all they did was place an order on Amazon. My delivery ain't here. Where's my Uber Eats? You know what I mean? That's how people are about that kind of stuff. They think they're under that false notion that whatever you pray for, you're going to get. Even if it's something that's going to hurt you. Even if it's something bad for somebody else. People really believe that whatever you pray for, you're going to get. And that's not true. And when you pray for individual material things or you pray for harm to come to somebody else, God ain't hearing that. God knows that you prayed for this Corvette that goes 300 miles an hour and you can't drive. God didn't give you that car because he don't want you to get killed. He don't want you to kill nobody else. God, you ask God to bring this person into your life, and this person is bad news. This person is going to derail everything that you've worked for and everything that you're working towards, and this person is really going to ruin your life. And I tell you, if somebody loves me like God loves me, they ain't gonna do that to me. Even if that's what I want, they ain't gonna let that happen because they know, especially God, he knows what's gonna happen before it happens. So he already knows that's gonna happen. So sometimes everybody doesn't get what they ask for, but I can promise you that everybody gets what they need. And if you don't have what you think you need and you're suffering because you don't have it, God will provide a solution for you to get it, but you have to really be willing to put in the effort. Sometimes it's hard to get it. Sometimes it's easy to get it. But the opportunity's there, and you can get it. And the harder you try, the stronger you'll be. And God wants you to try extra hard sometimes because he needs you to grow your spirit because, like I said, we're here for a training day. We're working towards a goal. That's why we have these different lives. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about how, they're an alpha male. And there's these other beta males, and so suck your toe. If you're a beta male, you better bow down to the alpha males. And if your girlfriend, don't like being with a beta male, she can come get with an alpha male. And this guy was just bragging. And I told him, I said, sometimes you have to stop what you're doing, and you have to pay attention to what you're doing, and think about, how karma works. People that don't necessarily truly believe in God, most of them believe in karma. What goes around comes around, stuff like that. So I told this person that, you what goes around comes around. If you do that to somebody, you can expect for it to happen to you. And the thing is, we're here for this training day, and during our training days and during these different lives, that we're going to be experiencing, these different experiences we're going to have in each life, we're going to get a well-rounded experience. There's going to be a life where you're the handicapped person. There's going to be a life when you're the rich person. There's going to be a life when you're the poor person. There's going to be a life when you're the evil person, maybe, and there's opportunities for you to do evil things. But at that point, I think that people probably have a mature spirit, and it's a choice thing. And I'm sure that there's some souls and spirits that made it almost to the end of the training and screwed up. So I think we're going to have an overall well-rounded experience by the time it's all over. And I think that by the time it is over, we'll be an angel, an all-purpose angel that can go into any situation and have that experience and be able to help somebody. And there's earth angels too. There's people that are in this realm, in this dimension, that are angels. They really, I don't know. If you've ever had, like me, have a person just come out of nowhere and do something really nice for you, and then they're gone. They just came from nowhere. God sent that person to help you. You know what I mean? You don't know where they came from, and you may not ever be able to see them again. You may never see them again. It was a complete stranger that came and helped you. And so that's what earth angels are. And sometimes it's somebody you get to know and helps you through a trying situation for an extended period of time. But God takes all kinds of people. And when to me, I equate this to being a counselor. And when I was a counselor, especially in the high schools, you got a whole bunch of counselors that I went to school with that I was a drug and alcohol counselor, and there's a whole bunch of them that I went to school with that never have done drugs. They don't know, they can barely identify these drugs on sight. They don't know what they smell like. They don't know what they taste like. They don't know the behavior and characteristics of the people that are on these drugs. All they know is what they read in that book. And they haven't experienced it in real life. And so those are the people that really don't make the best counselors, because they can't relate a real experience to these kids or to whoever they're counseling. And so I believe that God puts us through all these things so that at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we can relate real experiences to the people that we're doing God's work with. We can really tell them and relate to them how it feels. If you don't know how it feels to be strung out on crack, and you don't know where your next hit is going to come from, and you don't even understand why this is so important to you, but you're suffering inside, and it's eating you up inside, and emotionally you're a wreck, and you're angry, and you're remorseful, and you're sorry for all the bad things you did, but what you want more than anything else is you want another crack hit, and you're not going to stop till you get. If you don't know how that feels, how can you help somebody through that? If you've never been in an adverse situation on this planet and you call yourself some kind of pastor, some kind of teacher, some kind of guidance counselor, if you haven't been through it, how can you help somebody? Because you don't know about it. But this is the good news. God's got enough people that have experienced it to do these kind of things. And God has given you experiences in other fields that are going to help you be just as effective, but in a different field. So what we have to do is stay focused and try to learn every lesson that God has provided for us, because it's an overall education that's going to help us in the future. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to kind of ramble on, and I know I kind of shifted here back and forth, but I really wanted to talk about the plan that God has for us, and what this life experience is all about, and what to expect when it ends and you go to the next dimension, the next level, or whatever you want to call it. I think that there's a lot more to going to heaven than what people really, contemplate in their minds and in their hearts. So I just want us all to be conscious of that. And when you go out in the world, today, tomorrow, and every day after that, pay attention and look for those angels that God is going to bring to you. And also try to do one better thing than you did yesterday. And if you go through a day and you feel like you had a bad day, remember how bad somebody else's day would have been. And I'm going to say this last thing, and I'm going to end it here. And Charlotte's going to know what I'm talking about. And I explained this kind of to Stephanie last night when I was talking to her on the phone. I used to be a telemarketing manager for the Washington State Council of Firefighters. And so part of my job was to, sit up in the front of the room and motivate people to get on the phone and have an enthusiastic attitude and be, excited about asking people for money and have that cheer in their voice. Because one thing that I used to relay to them and reiterate to them is somebody on the other end of the phone can hear what kind of day you're having. It shows in your voice. You can tell. You can hear it. And so I was telling people, that they need to be motivated. And a lot of people, were coming into work and, I'm having a bad day. Or they come into work and they aren't making many sales, and there's a competition in that sales arena. And, we got charts up on the wall and somebody makes a sale and they ring a bell and they get a bonus little prize and they put their name on the chart, and whoever's got the, name at the top of the chart at the end of the week gets a bonus on their check. So everybody's trying to be the bonus person. And so if you're having a slow start, you're having a bad day. And if you're having a bad day, it's going to seep into your attitude and it's going to show on the phone, and it's only going to get worse. And so when people talk about a bad day, what I was saying was you need to think about how bad somebody else's day was before you just label your day as a bad day. And what I used for an example was, and I think everybody might recognize the name of this group. This was Leonard Skinner. And Leonard Skinner was a very popular rock group back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and they're still pretty popular today. Some of their songs are just iconic and timeless. But back when I was a kid, Leonard Skinner had a plane crash, and it killed everybody in the band except for one person. And he was the drummer, and his name was Artemis Pyle. And they crashed right around, sundown. Still light outside, but the sun was going down. And he told me this whole story. They came and did a show for the firefighters, and I got to go backstage and meet him. And he told me about the day that this plane crashed. And he said that the plane went down and everybody on the plane got killed except for him. And in the crash, somehow, he got his nose completely ripped off of his face. So now this guy's bleeding out of his face. He's crawling through the swamp. The swamp's got cottonmouth, snakes and alligators. This is swamps in Georgia. It ain't no joke. It's back in the woods, back in the bayou. And so he crawled across this area, and he saw a light in the woods, and he crawled towards the light, and it was a little house that was in the woods, and it didn't look like anybody was home, and it had a little glass window on the door, and he busted the window open so he could reach in and let himself in. And as he broke this window, the owner of the house came up and shot him with a shotgun in his butt with rock salt. After he had gone through this crash and went through all this, the owner came up and shot him in the butt. Then he ran up there and found out who he was and really helped him. But I tell people, if you think you're having a bad day, look what kind of day that guy had. That was a bad day. That day sucked. So if you can compare your day to that, you're having a bad day, I'll admit it. But if your day is anything short of that, you need to suck it up and get with the program. And that's my philosophy. When I go through life, people ask me all the time, how's your day going? Every day's a blessing. I don't have any bad days. Some days are better than others, but I don't have any bad days. And anytime something's going wrong, God always offers me a solution to fix it. And so I don't have any bad days. And I don't understand why a lot of other people have such bad days and their life is going so well, or so well compared to the person down the street whose life is going very poorly. And so I think when we think we're having a bad day, we should look around us and see what kind of day other people are having, and base our decision on whether we're having a bad day on the comparison to what kind of day they're having. So anyway, that's just me. That's how I handle this. And everybody's going to deal with these things in a different way. But I just want to make sure that our goal is the same, is to have a good day, and for every day to be a blessing, and for us to do a little better every day, and for us to bring as many people on board as we can, and for us to really seriously know what we're talking about, and for us to be happy, just like it says in that ceremony, be happy with the Sabbath, and be happy about the laws of Moses, and be happy about the 10 Commandments and be happy that we got this God. Be happy to worship him. Be glad to pay homage to him. Really appreciate what he's done. And I think there's a lot of people that don't appreciate God because they don't really look at what God did. If they really knew what God did for them, even before their earliest ancestor was born, and he planned for them to be in the bloodline somewhere and for their life to go a certain way. And if they knew how God blessed them before they even entered their mother's womb, they would understand why it's important to let God know how much we appreciate that. And, and he only asks us really for one day a week. I mean, he wants you to act a certain way during the week, but he really only wants you to pay homage to him one day a week and really pay attention to him. So I always tell people, what if it was the other way around? What if God decided he was only going to look out for you one day a week? The other 6 days would suck, wouldn't it? So anyway, I'm going to end it here, 35 minutes and 40 seconds. And I just want everybody to do the best they can every day and try to have the best day you can and keep a positive attitude, smile, enjoy the sunshine, smell the roses, and help as many people as you can. Church of God and Saints of Christ, let's get together and pray for the whole world because it's upside down and they need our help. Amen. So be it.